semesters data is used for the testing and 5 semesters data used for training, something like that. And this shows the results of the study. And actually, we started to predict the performance, whether students will be failing or successing from the beginning of the semester. And only after one quiz, it means that at the second week of the semester, the students' performances and all the students' activities are collected and used for determining whether the students will fail. And the accuracy of the model showed overall of over 84% of overall accuracy. But in terms of the sensitivity, number of the correctly predicted failing students shows in this graph. Only after 1 week of the semester, the 25% of the failing students are correctly predicted. And in the mid of the semester, for example, the eighth week of the semester, 53% of the failing students are correctly predicted. And actually, we were how to say, more eager to test whether it's feasible to predict the failing students at early stage of semester. So we only used the first weeks of the semester, because in many studies they're how to say, predicting the using whole semester data, and they are seeing whether it's possible to predict the students failure in the whole semester data. But in terms of the learning process, at the end of the semester, for example, at the 10th week of the semester, if we predict the students are failing or not, it doesn't make sense, because student itself can't work harder and make it pass the course. But even the instructor can do anything. So because of that, we are more concentrated on whether we can predict the failing students the early stage of the semester. So the 25% and 53% is actually not that good prediction outcome, but in terms of the early stage of the semester, it's quite promising. And actually, these kind of results can be, how to say, improved using many other data. For example, this one was a DSP course, digital signal processing course. So maybe we can use the previous prerequisite courses final grade or some other demographic, GPA or other data to improve the prediction accuracy. And actually, this paper is published in International Journal of Emerging Technologies and Learning. And if you want to have a more deep insight of the paper, you can check out the paper. And as the summary, the machine learning in education is actually extensively studied for last couple of years. And actually, this one can be used for many learning process and learning outcomes. And for example, like a build of models to provide a personalized feedback on the student's progress, and content analytics, for example, organizing and optimizing assessment, textbook sessions and lecture videos, and scheduling algorithms for optimal and adaptive teaching policy so that the students can learn more efficiently, and also prediction of learning outcomes, for example, risk of dropout or risk of failing students. And even the field of study can be predicted using the students' entrance exam and other behavioral characteristics. So this is the wrap up of my talk, and thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Otgon Sensek Subakarya. how can I call you your name?
You can call me just Otcon for short.
Oh,
Otcom.
okay.
Yes.
Thank
Okay.
you. Okay, thank you, Atkan, for your very nice presentation. Uh, I see here in my private chat there are one question about the how can we gain the retention time by using your behavior prediction approach. You mentioned about behavior prediction approach, right? Uh, on your slide, and you also mentioned the retention time of the learning.
Ah, those kind of research usually is based on the also it's possible from the log data. Also, it's
Mhm.
possible from the classroom observation using the cameras. For example, from the log data from LMSs, students are usually like um, when students are log in quite frequently,
Mhm.
and every login, if the students are accessing the course materials or watching lecture videos, and at least like trying some of the quizzes, and then over the time students activity is like how to say going down at the
Yeah.
beginning of the semester. Probably students are more active, and all of the students are very actively participated in the course activities on LMS. But over the time it's like it's becoming less and less, and then after maybe several weeks, the some portion of the students won't log into the LMS, and based on the data from the previous students who drop out the course, then we train the model based on those data, and then model itself will learn what kind of activities on LMS will proceed to the dropouts, and based on that, if the model is detects some kind of similar activities, then model can detect those students will drop out, and this one will retain the course and continue with the studying. Such kind of studies is done can be done on the LMS data, and also there is a possibility using the camera, for example, in the classroom activities. If as I shown in the previous slides, there is some studies conducted by several universities using the cameras on the classroom, and those studies see whether the students are attentively attending the classroom activities. From that, it's also possible to whether the students are understanding the course contents and whether they will continue with the course. So these kind of things can be how to say um, uh, these kind of things can be used for uh, the dropouts, also for the retention. If the students are how to say if the students are watching the courses, how to say some of the videos are watched only for 10 minutes. For example, the video is 30 minutes, and also the 10 minutes videos watched most of the students, and then it also the how to say indication of the whether the student will watch the course until the end or something like that. So these kind of things also will be very, I have to say, not easily, but it can be detected from the log data and also classroom activities using the cameras.
Okay.
Does it answer your question?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So,
Okay.
thank you, Otton. I see that there are two participants who raised their hand. The first one may be Wincy Weku want to ask a question, please.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Miss Marisa. Hi, Miss Subbata. In your presentation, you show us that you choose 8 features to make a prediction about the failing for the students.
Yes.
So I'm curious about how do you select the features? If you, what do you think? If you increase the features or you make it smaller, how does it have any effect to the accuracy and the sensitivity of your model? And then
Oh,
the second is okay. Likewise, when you select the train in the data, the size of the data set, um, does it any effect to the accuracy for your model?
okay. Thank you. Thank you for your question. Actually, it's a quite good question. And actually, the features on the slides are uh, selected based on the many, how to say, trial executions. Because actually, this one is blended learning course, right? If it was the full online course, there can be many other, how to say, LMS activities, but the course itself was uh, uh, classroom lecture, classroom, traditional classroom lecture plus LMS activities for quiz and midterm and also some assignments. So this is the blended learning course. Because of that, for example, we can't collect, for example, lecture video related features. For example, there can be many other features based on the lecture videos, duration of the video, and how many percentage of the videos has been seen or something like that. But it was a blended course, and the LMS activity was very limited, very limited. Usually this kind of research is used full online course, so we wanted to try whether this kind of study can be done on the blended learning course, because LMS activity is very limited. So because of that, and there was about 17 features um, extracted from the LMS data, and we only used very, how to say, most important ones, which affects the performance highly. And
Oh,
I
I
think
see.
this one answers the first question. And for the training, we used, as I said, we used the six-fold cross-validation, right? Usually, like training and test data separation is done using, how to say, random random separation, right? But we wanted to use, because we will use these data based on the semester, how to say, group of students, and we will collect the data, and we will use it on the previous, I don't know how to say, in the future, these are next semester's data, right? So because of that, we wanted to just see whether these kind of like training and test set separation will work. And actually this one is showed not that have to say, not that different accuracy compared to the random separation. So we still wanted to try to uh, do the training and data separation based on the group of, how to say, semester data. And
Okay.
what was the other question?
Okay, the other participant who raised their he sent Mr. Eki Latumakulita. Maybe Mr. Eki want to ask a question. Thank you.
Hello.
Hi, Miss Otgon. It's a long time.
Long time no see.
Maybe just the question is out of the topic. I just make sure if we arrange the same event in next year, if you come to Manado,
Mm-hmm.
if we
Ah,
will arrange, yeah, to make sure.
ah,
Uh,
okay. For the next series of this conference, right?
yeah, the same conference. So I
Uh-huh.
will. I want to make sure that I can see you face to face.
Okay. Okay. Thank you for the
Okay.
invitation. If like this COVID situation is like loosen up, and if the borders are opened, and if the next year you invite me for this conference again, then I will surely participate.
Okay. Thank you. See you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Eki. I think you would like delivery question about her presentation. Okay.
Okay.
Uh,
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Otkan, for your interesting presentation. Give us a very, very good insight for us about digital learning. Maybe as a beginner, I want to present your certificate as a presenter today. Maybe our chair, maybe Miss, Mrs. Susan, could you help me to present the? Okay, where is where is the certificate? Maybe committee. Uh,
Okay,
okay.
Mrs. Susan, you can share now.
Okay. Okay, this is your certificate. Thank you very much for your presentation. As uh as Mr. Eki said, maybe we will see next year. I will see you
Okay,
next
I
year.
hope you see you in the
Okay.
Manado next year. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Hotgun. Okay. Next, we are going to the next presenter. The next presenter is Dr. Andeko, but we will see his video, present the video because he cannot attend the conference right now. Maybe the video about presented by Dr. Andeko. But first, I will introduce him. Dr. Andeko is a biodiversity researcher engaged in the diversity, discovery, and distribution of amphibians and reptiles of the Indo-Australian realm, with special focus on the monitor research of the entire region and the herpetofauna of Sulawesi. Also, global species diversity and exploration belongs to his research interests. In a broader sense, he is working on the history of natural history and natural history collection, particularly in the relation to the colonial era of Southeast Asia. Dr. Andeko is a member of Alexander Kunig Gesell Saf or IKG, Dircho Gesell for Herpetology, and Terrarienkunde, DGHT, Dircho Museum and Gesell Schaff for Biology Systematics. International Society for the History and Bibliography of Herpetology, Zoologische Gesellschaft für Arten und Populationsschutz, ZGAP. Maybe the the next video, maybe somebody help me to present his video.
Selamat pagi and welcome to my talk. First of all, I'd like to thank Adel Apu very much for the invitation and to give me the chance to present some of my research at this nice conference. So the topic is about some lizards, and I've done my PhD about the amphibians and reptiles of Sulawesi. This is a book which was published in 2012. And today I'd like to show you the results of a recent publication which is about a taxonomic revision of the Sulawesi Tefin Lizards of the genus Hydrosaurus, and we call it dragons in neglect because you have seen these lizards, they really look like dragons. First of all, I'd like to give you a short introduction to these lizards. And the Latin name Hydrosaurus means water lizard, and this is very characteristic for these huge agamid lizards because they are often found close to water. Sailfin lizards, as the English name already says, are also characterized by some sailfin-like structures at their back and at the tail base. And also they have enlarged scales under the feet, which enabled at least juveniles to walk over water. In this phylogeny from 2012, we see that sailfin lizards, Hydrosaurus, form a separate subfamily, the Hydrosaurinae, and are rather basic within all agamid lizards. By the way, they are the largest agamid lizards, reaching a total length of about 1 meter. Previous to our investigation, there have been 3 different sailfin lizards in the genus Hydrosaurus. First, Hydrosaurus amboinensis from Pulau Ambon and Ceram, Sulawesi and New Guinea. Then Hydrosaurus postulatus from the Philippines. And finally, Hydrosaurus weberi, described in 1911 from Halmahera and also occurs on adjacent islands in the northern Moluccas. So since more than 100 years, no investigation has taken place. And yeah, there was just one recent phylogeny which investigated the phylogenetic relationship between the various populations. And as you can see here in yellow, Sulawesi represents a distinct clade, which is obviously distinct from Amboinensis and all other clades. So obviously it needs a species name. Here again, in these split networks, you can see that the Sulawesi population is closely related to Ambon, but also to Weberi from the Moluccas, and shows some high degree of intraspecific variation, probably due to the structure of Sulawesi and its tectonical history. This is a very nice picture of a male Hydrosaurus amboinensis from the type locality from where this species was described nearly 250 years ago. And here you see some characteristics, which is this blue frame around the eye. And also there is no crest on the nose. We'll see that this can be different. And the description by Schlosser in 1768 was accompanied by this illustration. And it's obvious that the color pattern fits very well. The problem is just that the specimen became darker and darker, so the real color pattern faded. And today the specimen, which is now kept at the Natural History Museum in Stockholm in Sweden, is nearly totally dark brown and shows none of the nice color pattern. But what you can see are little and enlarged scales on the back, but they are just single, and this is also important to keep in mind. When we now look at the Tefin lizards of Sulawesi, there are 2 different phenotypes. So 2 different looking kind of lizards. The first one, here again a male, because the male show the characters best, is one phenotype where we have enlarged scales, but fields of enlarged scales at the lateral side. And here in this case, they are even dark on the rather bright background color. And yeah, the eye is not blue, a bit difficult to see here. But there is a nice crest on the nose, which was not present in the population from Ambon I showed you before. On Sulawesi, we find also another kind of the sailfin lizards. This is phenotype 2. And in these lizards, in these specimens, the large scales on the lateral side are not as numerous, and they are not dark colored, but very light. Also on a rather light, in this case, orange, yellow background color. The eye is, the whole eye in this case is light blue, and we also find a nasal crest. So when we compare the lateral pattern and the scalation of Amboinensis, here on the left side a female, the male on the right side, and we have the males of the phenotypes from Sulawesi, it's obvious that these are definitely not the same, but actually there are 3 different kinds of sailfin lizards. So we try to find out which name is available for the Sulawesi population. And within the last 200 or 50 years, there were several names described in the literature. Lacerta javanica was the oldest one, but as the name says, it's typical, or was rather erroneously described from Java. So we could rule out this. The next one was Lacerta lufura, but also this does not apply to the Sulawesi specimens, and this is also the case for Lufura shovii. So the only names that are available are Istiurus microlophus, described by Peter Bleecker in 1860. He was a famous ichthyologist, publishing many papers about the fish, ikan dari Indonesia. And the second name is Lufura celebensis, described by Wilhelm Peters 12 years later. So this is the type specimen, a juvenile of Hydrosaurus microlophus by Bleecker. And although juveniles do not show the characters of the male of the adult specimens that clear, we can nevertheless see enlarged fields of scales on the lateral sides, as has been the case in phenotype 1. Here is a specimen of a picture of a live specimen, which shows the same characters. And yeah, these are the adult specimens in male and a female, where you can see that also there is a sexual dimorphism between these lizards, that the females have a rather dark background color and the enlarged scales are bright, whereas in males the background color is a light one, here yellow, and the enlarged scales are dark, which is also true for the head. In Hydrosaurus celebensis, the type specimen is present in the Berlin Museum in Germany, and this is an adult male which clearly shows the features which have already been observed in live specimen in phenotype 2, as you can see in this very nice specimen from Palopo. This here is a female. It has also just a few enlarged scales on the lateral sides, here also on the neck. The background color is a bit darker, and the nasal crest and also the crest along the back and on the base tail is not as strongly expressed as in the male. Probably this is a juvenile, which looks very similar to the one of Microlophus, but as I said, the defining characters or diagnostic characters become just clear when they are adult. So from the available specimens, we created this map, and there are not many larger specimens in zoological collections and natural history museums, probably also due to the size of these lizards. So nevertheless, it became obvious that Microlophus, which was described from the area around Makassar, just inhabits the southeastern peninsula, whereas Celebensis is mainly found in the central parts of Sulawesi, was described from the Poso area here. And there are also some records from the southeastern peninsula which indicates that both species occur, or phenotypes occur together. So there exists also the picture of this specimen, and here we are not sure because it has several enlarged scales, a dark head, and so this might be a hybrid between the both phenotypes, so between Hydrosaurus microlophus and Celebensis. So this is not quite clear what if this is the case, and some in-depth phylogenetic studies or molecular studies would give perhaps more result in this case. But so far, only we did only morphological investigation. So nevertheless, we can conclude that it was justified to resurrect the names Celebensis and Microlophus from synonymy of Amboinensis because the sailfin lizards from Ambon look totally different and are clearly distinct from the Sulawesi ones. So Amboinensis should be restricted to the central Moluccas and New Guinea. And on the other side, Sulawesi is the only known island to be inhabited by two different species of sailfin lizards, which is very unusual and unique and something special. So our investigations bring the number of recognized Hydrosaurid species to 5, which is a nice result in this small group of amazing dragon-like lizards. But there are still some open questions, not just in relation to the hybrids on Sulawesi itself, but for instance, here is a picture of a specimen which we found on the Talaut Islands in the very north of Sulawesi, which is located between the Philippines, the Minahasa, and Halmahera and the Moluccas. So it's not clear to which species this island population belongs. It has definitely just a few in large scale, so it looks much more similar to Celebensis. But when we look at the adults, and here is a picture of a dead specimen, there are obviously some differences. So it's not clear to which species the Talaut population belongs. So I hope I could show you or introduce you to these very nice, amazing specimens here. This is a Hydrosaurus weberi from Halmahera, also with very blue eyes, but nearly no enlarged scales on the lateral side, so also clearly distinct from the Sulawesi specimens. And in the name of my co-authors, we would like to thank the museum curators, which allowed us investigate specimens under their care, and David Knowles, Eddie Even, Nathanael Muri, and Yassid, as well as Dieter Trobisch. They provided some of these amazing pictures, which I showed you today. So I hope you enjoyed very much my presentation. And thank you very much. Terima kasih.
Okay, because this is the last speaker, but the speaker could attend the Zoom session. I will like to present him the certificate for Dr. Andeko as a plenary speaker. Okay, thank you. I think it is the end of the second plenary session about three wonderful speakers today. After this, I will like to call Megumi as MC to hold the next session. Thank you very much.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Dr. Marisa Tapilo, Bachelor of Science, Master of Engineering, and all of the speakers on the second session for the presentation. It's such a good explanation that you've given to us. And ladies and gentlemen, finally we come to the end of this plenary session. I would like to thank the speakers for their informative and interesting presentation, and also all the participants for their very active participation. Finally, giving applause to the speakers and all of you. So I am Megumi Nayon. Say thank you so much for your attention in this session. Now I will hand it over to our committee to proceed to the next agenda. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Megumi. So I think we have to say sorry for the time delay, and thank you very much for your cooperation. Well, for your information, after lunch break, maybe about 15 minutes, we have to go to the parallel session, and it will begin at 1 p.m. Central Indonesia time, jam 1 waktu Indonesia bagian tengah, and all participants are invited to join the same Zoom link, and will be directed to join each breakout room according to the schedule that has been shared. Thanks again and have a great lunch.